We know that every one of our students is unique, and formative assessments are a perfect way to tap into that uniqueness by helping us to quickly recognize when students are struggling or thriving so we can provide individualized pedagogical support where needed. In addition, here at Adobe, we know that great formative assessments can also tap into student creativity and provide us with even more educational insights that go beyond a simple reflection of student learning. In the next 4 minutes, I'll show you how to make a template for visual formative assessments using graphics. So what we're going to do now is start off by creating a teacher template that we can use for our formative assessment. Now, templates are a great way to actually start to create the base of a project that we can give to students so we can ensure that there's some consistency in what those look like. But there's still going to be plenty of room for student creativity. So let's get started. So we are on our home screen, and you can see this is where we go for any of our projects. Now, what we want to do today is we want to start our own template by creating our own graphic. So you can see here that we have a number of suggested different options that allow us to start from scratch, but I'm going to click on this blue magic button in the upper left-hand corner, and notice it'll list some standard sizes right here that I can choose to use as well. There's also a custom size option right above that, but there is no right or wrong answer. You're going to choose what's right for you. So I'm going to start off by choosing a landscape graphic. And as you can see here, it's going to open up our project to start with. And I have a nice landscape graphic that I can use. Now, once I'm on my blank canvas for our template, I'm going to start off by using something. Maybe we're doing a lesson on poetry and imagery. And what we want to do is, as we finish the lesson, we want to give the students something to test whether or not they understood how we can recognize imagery within poems. And so we're going to create a template that gives them a poem. And at the end of class, we're going to have them quickly look at the poem and graphically and visually tell us what are the themes of that poem. So that's the template we're going to be creating. And for the purposes of this one, we're going to use the poem Dreams by Langston Hughes. And so I already have an image of that poem. I'm going to go to my photos. I'm going to click Media. And when I click Media, I'm going to upload from device. And right on my desktop, I have a copy of that poem, which I'm going to open. And I'm going to move it over to the left-hand side, and I'll make it a little bit bigger. And remember, we're not going to want to take up so much space because we need to leave plenty of room on the right-hand side for students to add their images. And so I have the image of the poem here. Now I want to add some text. So I'm going to click on the text button, click Add My Text, and let's call this Today's Assignment. So we'll call this Today's Assignment. And I'm going to resize that graphic. And let's move it up to the upper center portion. One of the things I love here is that it adds the guidelines to help us center. And we can always, if we don't like that color, we can choose a custom color for that text if we want. And so we can highlight that text, choose fill, choose custom, and we can use a color picker, or we can simply click on that color palette to choose. So now I have my text, I have my colors, and you can get as creative as you want in terms of how much you want to add to your template. But in this case, I only added a text box and the image of the poem, but you can choose to add instructions wherever you want. But remember, the goal of this template is to have a creative assessment, so we don't want to busy it up too much because we want to leave plenty of room for students to give us their creativity in terms of how they're going to respond to the prompt. Now that I have the graphic created, we want to export it as a template. And so we can do that by clicking share. And once we click share and create that template, we're then going to have that remixable link that we can share with students. So we'll give it a name. We also have to name our project. We can call it poetry imagery, add a note if you want. And then once you have that link, you're going to share that out with your students. And then the next step, we're going to take a look at what students can do with that template. So that's it. With only a few actions and considerations about image placement in relation to content and text, we created a quick formative assessment template to get a handle on what students know in under 4 minutes. Now take a moment to reflect. What can you take away from this lightning learning and apply to your own practice right away? So that's all you need to do in order to create a template. Now that our template's ready to go, we're ready to share it with our students and get them creating. So that's it. With only a few actions and considerations about image placement in relation to content and text, we created a quick formative assessment template to get a handle on what students know in under 4 minutes. Now take a moment to reflect. What can you take away from this lightning learning and apply to your own classroom practice right away? If you need inspiration, we have more examples of how formative assessment is being used on the classroom here on the Education Exchange. In our next video, we'll take a look at the student side to see how they'll use this formative assessment template to create an authentic artifact of their learning.